What's up guys, it's Naf here. So continuing from my last maxing video, I had hit about the halfway mark on my grind to max, and decided next I would be moving on to divination. Going into divination, I was completely out of divine charges, with hardly any charges left either, so I definitely needed to do this skill to keep my augmented tools going, and to use for my plank maker, which I currently am and will be continuing to use to convert my logs into planks for construction. So to do this, I started off using my divinomatic vacuum so I could fill empty divine charges which I had made in the past. Whilst collecting energies, I was also trying to utilise Guthix's cache dailies as much as I could, and also finally decided to check out the memorial to Guthix's content, which until now I've never actually looked into whatsoever. So I was actually surprised with how good it was, being very easy to do, and the experience rewards being quite high for what you had to do, and pretty quickly I was able to get the divination buff I was after, Ethereal Connection, which increased the duration of a divination spring, essentially meaning it made divination a little bit more AFK. So eventually I did progress from luminous to incandescent energies, and a little after 96 divination, I had finally filled all my empty divine charges. Now that didn't mean I couldn't have stayed here all the way to 99, but I did want to check out divination at the Ark, which is something I've actually never done before. And after a short quest, I was able to get onto the Ark and eventually found a positive energy spot on the Cyclosis Island, where I did decide to stay until I had the 50 ancestral energy I needed to relocate to a different island, which had both positive and negative energy. So for anyone who's never been here and unsure about Ark divination like I was, it's a little confusing. Essentially, on the regular islands, you can find locations for positive and negative energy, which you collect separately, and when you have both, are combined to make ancestral energy, which is a usable level 95 energy. Now, ancestral energy can be collected directly from Uncharted Isles, which are randomly generated islands when you go on a voyage, and to do that requires supplies. Now, the main benefit of Ark Divination in comparison to simply sticking to incandescent energy all the way to 99 is how AFK it is, which I was definitely a fan of, and I actually stuck to this island for the remainder of my time doing divination, only leaving to do the Guthix's cache dailies. I was aware that I could explore the Uncharted Isles until I found one with divination resources on it and claim it to be able to return there daily, but I honestly didn't really feel like worrying about supplies and even finding a good island, considering I was pretty happy with the island I was on regardless. And after a few days of divination, I was finally done and left with 12,000 ancestral energies, which will convert to 120 divine charges once I have the simple parts to do that, which is quite nice to add to what I already had before I went to the Ark. So with divination out of the way, I wanted to move on to mining and smithing. Now my intention of leveling these was to use the superheat form prayer. Now my initial thought was to do Seren stones, which are really good experience, but due to mining and smithing being only about 1 million experience apart, there was an issue. Mining a corrupted ore gives 296.7 experience and 356 when boosted by the voice of Seren. But in terms of smithing experience, using the superheat form prayer, it would only give 150 smithing experience normally, or 180 when boosted by the voice of Seren. So what this meant was to get 99 mining from my current level, not including the random voices of Seren, would require me to mine 27,009 corrupted ore, whilst getting 99 smithing on the other hand would require me to mine 47,788 ores, nearly double the amount required for mining. Now, I did consider the possibility of trying to use the supplies I have in my bank to make up the remainder of the smithing experience if I was to stop mining just before 99, which if I was to do that would leave me about 3.1 million smithing experience needed, and although I had a decent amount of smithing supplies in my bank, mainly from God Wars Dungeon 2, it certainly wasn't enough to get me there, only equating to a little over 1 million smithing experience. So Seren Stones was off the table, which only left me with one other decent option for using the superheat form prayer, which was mining gold ore in the living rock caverns. Now this was considerably less mining experience, but did give 65 mining experience and 56.2 smithing experience per ore mined, as long as you are using the goldsmithing gauntlets, which I certainly would be doing. So that was probably as good as it would get in terms of an even mining and smithing experience ratio, so that was good enough for me. Now before heading to the living rock caverns, I did need to do the Varrock tasks to unlock the Varrock body armor, which does give benefits to mining and smithing, with the main benefit being a chance of mining double ores rather than just the one. Now, unfortunately, due to a little poor planning, I was only able to complete up to the hard tasks for the Varrock Armor 3, as the elite tasks included doing the all fired up minigame, where you had to light all the braziers, and doing this would have dinged my 99 fire making, so I did not complete the elite tasks. So in general, the tasks weren't too bad, only taking a day due to a few particular tedious tasks, such as the task to kill 100 rats with your cat, and to plant and harvest a poison ivy, as I didn't have the seeds required to do that, and for whatever reason nothing I tried wanted to drop it for many hours. So getting into the actual mining and smithing training, it was extremely efficient, using the few prayer renewals I had, together with a few items with prayer bonus and a reverence aura, made prayer drain extremely slow, and even after running out of prayer renewals and moving on to prayer pots, the superheat form really didn't drain prayer fast at all. So in total I did spend roughly 7 days at the Living Rock Caverns, and in the process I did even manage the smithing pet, which I unfortunately didn't get a live recording of, as I didn't even expect to be able to get the pet using this spell, but regardless it was a nice surprise. And once I finally reached 98 smithing, I decided it was finally time to leave the Living Rock Caverns, as I did actually intend on using up a lot of my banked smithing supplies, especially the bars, as I do want to eventually be able to alch everything I make for gold, as I do expect construction to be pretty expensive. So first up, that involved superheating all my runite ores to bars. Now unlike last time I was smithing bars, I made sure to have enough nature runes beforehand, and along with using the coal bag, it was actually pretty efficient, only taking a couple of hours to finish up with a total of 3000 rune bars, which I then proceeded to smith into items. So at first I was attempting to make rune two-handers with a smithing boost from Dwarven Stouts, which I had in my bank from Prifdanath's Thieving, although I didn't have too many, and once I had run out of those, I simply made rune longswords for no particular reason, and once I was out of rune bars, I did also move on to using my adamant bars for making adamant plate bodies, which by the time I was done, got me around 1/3 of the way to 99 smithing. And to finish up the remaining experience, I did plan on doing Artisan's Workshop. Now technically I could have made the adamant ores into bars for more alchable items, but I didn't have enough nature runes to do that efficiently, and I did decide I'd rather just finish off with the Artisan's Workshop. So as you would expect, not much else happened, although I did have more supplies than I expected, so I was able to use tier 3 ignots, which also made things pretty fast as well as AFK, and in no time at all I was done with smithing. So now that meant I just had to finish off mining with 950,000 or so experience to go, which I was now able to do at Seren Stones, not being concerned with smithing. And after not long at all, I was also done with mining as well. Next, I did want to finish up cooking. Now luckily fishing kind of finished itself doing the monthly oyster D&D, so I don't actually need to touch it at all until the day I am maxing. Now in terms of cooking, I did plan on cooking all of my raw food and to do temple checking for raw sharks for whatever experience needed after that. Now in terms of raw food, I had quite a bit, mainly being raw sharks from bossing, some raw rocktails I fished myself at some point, and raw lobsters I acquired through Slayer drops. So mainly cooking sharks was pretty fast experience, which got me all the way through to 98 cooking, where I was able to finish up the remaining experience needed through cooking rocktails and lobsters, even managing to have a few raw lobsters spare by the end. So that's pretty much it for this one. I'm now slowly closing in on maxing, with 5 skills to go, being 81 agility, which I hope shouldn't be too bad with the Prifdanath's agility course, 87 fletching, which I hope I have enough supplies for, although I will be leaving it as one of the last 99s, so I can buy as many broad arrowheads as possible. 91 construction, which similar to fletching shouldn't be an issue if I actually have the supplies, although I know for a fact as of right now I don't have enough logs or planks. 92 hunter, which I really hope ends up being easy, considering I don't think any of the other skills will be, and do plan on using the crystallize spell to help speed up the process. And lastly, 88 rune crafting, bound to be relatively slow as I only have so much pure essence, and will need to spend the majority of my time leveling at runespan. And I do want to apologise for the infrequent uploading as of recent. The whole process of maxing is taking a lot more than I expected, but I do have full intentions of getting into a more regular upload schedule once I'm done, which I hope to have finished within a final video, which I can only hope won't take that long. But that's it for me, thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.